Morning YouTube. I'm just thinking a little bit about anti-natalism, partly because I've just come out of watching Professor Anton, your video, Corey, that you've made with Valerie, the dialogue about anti-natalism, which is a really interesting video. And I guess it's prompted me to think about something I've been thinking about recently in relation to this, which isn't about the details of anti-natalism, which I'll try and find time to come back to, but more about the idea of anti-natalism as a dangerous idea. And here I'm referring really to a book by the World Question Centre, the EDGE organisation, which I've mentioned before in one of my videos. The World Question Centre is a kind of interdisciplinary organisation that invites scientists, experts of different stripes to address a particular issue. They publish one book a year addressing a significant topical question, and the one for 2006 was, "What is your dangerous idea?" And they got, I don't know how many people it was, 100 and odd scientists and theorists of different 119 to write short essays on what they consider to be their dangerous idea. And it's the great and good, it's Daniel Dennett and Stephen Pinker, Ramachandran, Paul Bloom, Robert Shapiro, just lots of really great people, Dinah Halpern, so really great people on there. And a range of different things. Some of them are religious kind of ideas, that many people still, in the 21st century, still find the idea that there is no God to be a dangerous idea. So some people have written essays of that kind. Others have written about things like life extension. People find life extension a dangerous idea, and so on. I'll just read the bit that introduces it and then say some things about it. This was how they extended their question. This is the question that was put out to various people. It says, "The history of science is replete with discoveries that were considered socially, morally, or emotionally dangerous in their time. The Copernican and Darwinian revolutions are the most obvious. What is your dangerous idea? An idea you think about, which is not necessarily one you originated, that is dangerous, not because it is assumed to be false, but because it might be true." So that's the idea of the age question. And I think there's something about this antinatalism thing which is raising the same kind of heat. I mean, the thing about dangerous questions, the ones that are in this Edge publication, is that these are questions which people find very, very difficult to talk about in a way which is cool and rational and detached. They immediately rush to judgment, or they immediately rush to the end point. And I think I'm seeing this, certainly in the antinatalist discussion, that people are immediately rushing to, and I'm talking about people on various positions within the discussion, are rushing to either attack the opposition, make ad hominem attacks, or to use other kind of straw man strategies to imagine what's being said. I think it's really interesting. I mean, I think some of the if I can just address your video there, Corey, but you're not alone in this one. I mean, there's a couple of things in there which I think do this. One is this. I guess it's a kind of an appeal to religiosity. I can't remember the exact phrase you used there, Corey, but it's an idea that there's almost a quasi-religious attitude taken towards antinatalism. I mean, that's in a sense that's a strategy, isn't it? Because you're bringing in a set of parameters and a set of assumptions about, it may be correct, but a set of parameters and assumptions about the mindset, the social organisation, the relationship to truth and objective knowledge, the relationship to authority that religion has. You bring all that with it, don't you? And apply that to an idea. And that's the strategy I've seen other people use, on both sides. And then there's the dangerous idea, in the way that an idea is like a dangerous weapon. What if this got into the wrong hands? That one. What if this dangerous idea got into the hands of a mad scientist? I think that was the one that you mentioned, Corey. What if it got into the hands of an ideologically motivated scientist who was able to develop a sterilising drug and put it in the water supplies? Dangerous idea. Or alternatively, what if this got into the hands of terrorists with access to resources? It was a kind of Bin Laden scenario. What if it got into those hands? Or there was another one as well, I can't remember what it was now. And we've seen those before, and it's interesting that they mentioned Darwin in the introduction to this, because of course Darwin was, some of the commentary about Darwin when his ideas were first put out were exactly of that kind. I think there's a very famous quotation, I'm sorry I can't remember who said it, which was, this is a good idea, but we should never let this get into the hands of the common man, because it might promote revolt. People might revolt at this idea, and overturn the natural order of the aristocracy and then the working classes beneath them. It was considered a revolutionary idea that could promote revolt, destabilise society and lead to anarchy. And we wouldn't want that kind of ticking bomb in your nicely ordered society, 19th century society. So that was seriously considered as a possibility, a dangerous idea. The other one, actually, I just remembered is what if this got into the hands of fascists? What if this got into the hands of fascists? What if it got into the hands of people who find this idea so important and so interesting that they'd be willing to completely forego all the political processes and political developments that have taken place, particularly in the West, over the last couple of hundred years? What if it got into the hands of people who were fascists? And I've seen this before, actually, on YouTube as well. It's often associated with both the radical feminism discussions and discussions on vegetarianism. Because I've participated a little bit in both those discussions, particularly the vegetarian one. And very, very quickly you get people assuming that you're talking about the implementation of your ideas through fascistic means. That's where people go to. If I make a video about vegetarianism, you can bet that someone will say at some point something that implies that if I somehow got into power, I would immediately get the stormtroopers out snatching pork cutlets out of people's mouths. It would assume that I would be fascistic about it. And you see the same thing with feminisms, and particularly anti-porn feminists. It is naturally assumed, I don't know about naturally, but it is very quickly assumed that an anti-porn feminist would, if they had the opportunity, again, get the secret police in storming lap dancing bars, rather than inheriting the same political processes that we're all in. And then I'm finding it here again. That the assumption with anti-natalists, I think you called them, non-antinatalists, I'm sorry, is that anti-natalists, if they had the opportunity, would be fascists about it. And it may be the case with some folk, but I'm suspecting most people would not. And regardless, that doesn't change the fact that this is a discussion about ideas, not about implementation. And the proposal that these are dangerous ideas because they could fall into the wrong hands. They could fall into the hands of politically motivated mad scientists, or fall into the hands of terrorists, or fall into the hands of fascists, is a bit bogus, I think, really. Because the same thing could apply to pretty much any technology. I mean, I've mentioned Darwin. What if this fell into the hands of the working class? Or aeroplanes. What if this aeroplane we've just invented fell into the hands of a politically motivated suicide bomber with access to resources? What if this? You can see where I'm going with that, can't you? So it's felt to be a dangerous idea, and I think that's stymieing a lot of the discussion and leading to ad hominem attacks. It's leading to what about the children kinds of responses, and so on. Not in most cases discussions of the ideas themselves. I have to say, I'm making videos about this. I'm just not posting them right now because I don't think I'm making good videos and interesting videos. So I have not yet found a good refutation of antinatalism that works in its own terms. I have to say, I'm only finding refutations of the kind that say, life is bittersweet. You've got to take the good with the bad. It's getting a bit better. I'm finding lots of kind of in-system justifications and arguments, but none for the overall argument. But I'm ready to be educated. Anyway, that's my thought. Antinatalism as a dangerous idea.